Escort sites, back page listings, massage parlors with happy endings. These are all things we think about when we think about prostitution or sex work. Now, you might get an icky feeling when you hear that kind of talk or those words and those phrases. This just comes from a lifetime of media and society shaming sex workers and us kind of feeding into that same stigma. This is comparable to not even 10 years ago when we were talking about legalizing marijuana. We heard gateway drug, dope dealer, stoner. These labels now we kind of laugh at because we know the benefits to the legalization of marijuana and kind of what it's done for our country, with profit for the states and medicinally for people who struggle. Similarly, sex work is just a true form of bodily autonomy. Sex work can be taxed, regulated, and monitored with legalization. Legalizing would make work safer and it would be more profitable. We already have pornography sites such as OnlyFans, phone sex lines, and social media sites such as Reddit and Twitter where individuals can go and create custom content to sell. This is all legal, but prostitution is just different. We forbid it in the United States. I think it's very similar to these online sex work. Personal opinion on morality just has no place for the laws in our country. People should be able to do sex work as a job without someone telling them, oh, you can't do that because I don't like it. Legalizing prostitution is simply just about your sexual freedom for consenting adults. Now, when we talk about prostitution, we regress back to what we have been told our entire lives about it and calling these people whores, sluts, call girls, hookers. And made the definition of what sex work is to us very negative. When in reality, prostitution is one of the oldest jobs in the entire world. According to the National Library of Medicine, prostitution dates back all the way to 4000 BC. And probably even before then, just without documentation. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean you can outlaw it. You don't have to participate in the work if you don't want to be around it. It won't inherently affect you. As a society, we have normalized sex work online. With COVID, everybody lost their jobs. There was a lot of influx of people needing work and needing money right away, and they couldn't find it because everything was shut down due to quarantine. This is what the big blow up of OnlyFans was created. And OnlyFans, a lot of people know what it is, but some don't. It's just a site for content creators to go and kind of advertise what they can do, and people can purchase from them on there. And this was an opportunity for individuals to really market their own sexuality without the help of production companies or professionals kind of taking a piece of it or marketing it. It was very just something that people chose to do all on their own. Our opinions on sex work have been evolving when we've seen the acceptance of OnlyFans and we've seen, normal people just have OnlyFans and people we know and have grown up with and maybe even in our families, and we accept that and love them for who they are. Dated opinions on sexuality have no place in the laws of our country. The 3 basic rights of a citizen is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And regular people deserve the right to work whatever job and make whatever kind of living they need to make, as long as it's not harming anybody. And if you're a consenting adult, prostitution won't harm anybody. 2 consenting adults choosing to do this causes no harm. Regular people became porn stars overnight with OnlyFans, and they were making millions. Their entire lives have changed, just from their own living room. And this is something in our society now that we encourage. We encourage this boss mentality, this kind of get out there and do it and make the money and do what you need to do to get to where you are. Programs for poor people and housing and food, they've all fallen behind. With COVID being as bad as it was and so many people losing their jobs, income, livelihood, this is something that has really damaged our country. And people don't have a way to work. People don't have a way to make money, and they can't keep up with inflation and how much things cost right now. And what we're doing is we're just cutting off another access for people to have their own way of supporting themselves and their own independence. This energy that we give to people saying, do what you have to do to get to where you need to be, needs to be given to prostitution. It's a legit form of work that an adult should be able to choose to do. With the legalization of this, it would be closely monitored and regulated. This in turn would make it safe for people to perform this sex work. We all know prostitutes. They can be raped, beaten, robbed, and even killed. And this is the dangers that we hear about when we talk about prostitution. And on this graph back here, it says, with the stigma and the lack of healthcare access, sex workers are less likely to seek or receive medical care for sexually transmitted diseases. It's difficult for victims of human trafficking to come forward in fear that they might also be reprimanded when violating the law. So they're less likely to report when they have been assaulted. And because of this, customers and predators, they know that this is illegal. So if they assault, beat, hurt a woman or man that is performing sex work, they can get away with it because these people, these prostitutes, are too afraid to go to law enforcement. Now, if we make it legal, the law enforcement will then back the prostitutes, and they will be able to feel safe to go and, report when things happen to them. This will then teach customers and predators that they can't go and just assault people. They'll have this fear that they would be caught. Also, too, when we talk about sex trafficking, and this is a big thing that the other side would say, sex trafficking, prostitutes are sex trafficked. Yes, they are. And it's because we have the use of pimps right now. Pimps are what control prostitutes right now. They provide the safety, the income, the base of customers to these people that want to prostitute or don't want to prostitute and are forced into it. And if we had a brothel that was regulated by the government, regulated by the state, we would have security and we would have, rules and laws that they would have to follow. And this would eliminate the use of pimps, which would bring down sex trafficking. We also would regulate these brothels with STD and STI checks that would be mandatory. Europe does it right now. In Austria, if you you have to get an STD and STI check if you work in sex work. If you don't do it, it results in a fine and even jail time. It's working really well for their country right now. And bottom line, financially, sex work would be a huge revenue for this country. The taxation of sex work would bring in billions of dollars. The demand for sex work, it's an ancient job. It's been around since the birth of Jesus Christ. It's going to be around until the end of time. We should profit off of it. Just like we've tried to regulate alcohol with prohibition, and just like we tried to regulate the use of marijuana, now we've legalized it, we've brought it in safe places, and now people can receive it safely, and from that, we've made a lot of money off of it. I hope that you change your thinking. All great people have to do this with time. Society is different now. We live in a free-flowing, loving time. Just like anything else, if you don't want to be around it, don't go near it. If you don't want to be around alcohol, don't go to a bar. If you don't want to be around marijuana, don't go to a dispensary. If you don't want to be around prostitution, don't go to a brothel. But our country and our society cannot keep telling people what they can and cannot do to earn their money and their livelihood, especially when we don't have other resources to give to these people. Prostitution would not only bring in financial gain, it would provide a long-lasting, stable career for many people. Thank you.